Ladies and gentlemen, there are two types of people in this world. Those who learn, evolve and rise, and those who stay stagnant, bound by their own ignorance. Wisdom is not given, it is earned. Tonight I ask you, are you wise or are you foolish? A foolish woman is not one without knowledge, but one who ignores wisdom. She is not one who makes mistakes, but one who refuses to learn from them. She is not one who feels deeply, but one who lets her emotions rule her actions. Stay with me until the end of this speech, because what I am about to share may be the most important truth you ever hear. A truth that separates those who will thrive from those who will suffer endlessly in the prison of their own making. Let us begin. The difference between wisdom and foolishness is not in what we know, but in how we think. A person can have all the knowledge in the world, yet remain utterly blind to the truth. Wisdom is not about accumulating facts, it is about understanding life, recognizing patterns, and making choices that lead to growth, strength, and fulfillment. A fool may read 1,000 books and still stumble through life, while a wise woman, even with little formal education, may navigate every storm with grace and purpose. What separates the wise from the foolish is not intelligence, but awareness. Awareness of self, of others, of the consequences that ripple from every action. A wise woman sees beyond the moment. She understands that life is a grand tapestry, woven with threads of choice and consequence. She does not simply react, she reflects. She does not speak to hear her own voice, she listens to understand. She does not seek to be right, she seeks to be better. But the foolish woman, she is different. She lives in a world of illusions, mistaking arrogance for confidence, impulsiveness for strength, and stubbornness for wisdom. She does not pause to consider that she might be wrong, that her emotions might be misleading her, that her certainty might be the very thing dragging her into the abyss. She walks blindly into fire and then curses the flames for burning her. She repeats the same mistakes and blames the world for the pain she creates. A wise woman understands that the mind is a garden. If neglected, it will be overrun with weeds, fear, doubt, resentment, and vanity. But if tended with care, it will flourish with understanding, discipline, and self-respect. She does not wait for life to teach her lessons the hard way. She seeks wisdom before disaster strikes. She knows that every mistake is a lesson, every failure an opportunity, every hardship a test of character. She does not seek an easy life. She seeks a meaningful one. And yet the foolish woman refuses to see. She mistakes movement for progress, loudness for confidence, recklessness for courage. She surrounds herself with those who flatter her rather than those who challenge her. She rejects advice because it is inconvenient, clings to beliefs that no longer serve her, and lives trapped in patterns she refuses to break. She is not unlucky, she is unwise. The same doors that open for others remain closed to her, not because she is incapable, but because she refuses to carry the key of self-awareness. Life rewards those who learn. It opens its treasures to those who seek wisdom, who ask difficult questions, who dare to look into the mirror and confront the truth. And it punishes those who refuse. The foolish will find themselves repeating the same struggles, facing the same disappointments, suffering the same consequences. Not because fate is cruel, but because they refuse to see what is right before them. The danger of ignorance. Ignorance is not simply the absence of knowledge. It is the rejection of wisdom. It is the refusal to learn, the stubborn clinging to old ways, the blind certainty that one's own understanding is enough. A fool is not one who knows little, but one who believes she knows enough. The moment a woman believes she has nothing left to learn, she seals her fate. Blame is the favorite tool of the foolish. When life is difficult, she looks outward, searching for a villain. It is always someone else's fault. The cruel world, the unfair system, the people who betrayed her, the circumstances beyond her control. She never turns her gaze inward, never asks, what part did I play? What could I have done differently? She clings to the comforting lie that she is a victim, because the truth that she holds the power to change is far too heavy a burden to bear. But power, real power, comes from ownership. The moment a woman takes responsibility for her choices, she takes control of her destiny. The wise woman does not waste time blaming others. She asks, What can I learn from this? When betrayed, she does not drown in self-pity, she learns discernment. When she fails, she does not curse the universe, she studies her mistakes. When life knocks her down, she does not cry about the unfairness of it all, she rises, stronger, wiser, ready. Ignorance is the enemy of progress. A woman who refuses to acknowledge her weaknesses will never overcome them. A woman who rejects feedback will never improve. A woman who refuses to learn from her mistakes is doomed to repeat them. And yet, the foolish will fight to protect their ignorance as if it were their greatest treasure. They will mock wisdom, dismiss advice, and reject truth, all because it is easier to remain blind than to see. A foolish woman is often trapped in cycles of misery. She attracts the same toxic relationships, makes the same reckless decisions, falls into the same emotional traps. And rather than ask, "Why does this keep happening to me?" she convinces herself that she is simply unlucky. But luck has little to do with it. Wisdom is the difference between a woman who thrives and a woman who suffers. But here's the beauty of it all. Ignorance is a choice, and so is wisdom. No woman is doomed to foolishness. At any moment she can decide to see, to learn, to grow. The question is not whether she has the ability. It is whether she has the courage, because wisdom demands humility. It requires a woman to admit that she does not know everything, that she has made mistakes, that she has much to learn. And for many, that truth is too painful to accept. But for those who do, the rewards are beyond measure. A wise woman gains power over her emotions, control over her actions, and clarity over her decisions. She does not allow the past to dictate her future. She does not waste energy blaming others. She moves with purpose, with strength, with the quiet confidence of one who knows she is the master of her own fate. Foolishness is easy, comfortable, familiar. Wisdom is challenging, demanding, and often uncomfortable. But only one of these paths leads to true freedom. The choice is yours. Emotions are the fire within. They can warm a home or burn it to the ground. A woman who masters her emotions wields a force that empowers her, elevates her, protects her. A woman who is ruled by them, consumed by them, is a danger to herself. She will lash out at those who love her, push away those who could help her, and sabotage the very future she longs for. She will believe she is strong because she feels deeply, but feeling is not strength. Strength is in restraint, in wisdom, in knowing when to act and when to be still. A moment of rage can destroy a lifetime of work. A careless word can end a friendship. An impulsive decision can alter the course of an entire life. And yet, so many live as slaves to their emotions, giving them full control, mistaking chaos for passion and recklessness for authenticity. They let anger dictate their words, jealousy shape their actions, fear determine their decisions. They believe they are expressing themselves when, in truth, they are being controlled. The wise woman understands that emotions are fleeting, deceptive, unpredictable. She knows that the feeling of the moment is never as important as the consequences of her response. She does not deny her emotions. She acknowledges them, studies them, learns from them. When anger rises, she does not explode. She asks, "What is this anger teaching me?" When fear grips her, she does not cower. She asks, "Is this fear protecting me, or is it limiting me?" She is the master of her mind, the ruler of her own heart. The foolish woman, on the other hand, is at the mercy of every mood, every impulse, every fleeting feeling. She allows her emotions to shape her identity, to dictate her reality. She convinces herself that if she feels something strongly, it must be true. If she feels hurt, then she must be a victim. If she feels jealous, then someone must be trying to take what is hers. If she feels unworthy, then surely the world must see her that way as well. She does not question her emotions. She obeys them. And in doing so, she destroys herself. She sabotages opportunities because she is too angry to think clearly. She ruins relationships because she lets insecurity poison her words. She makes foolish decisions because she cannot separate temporary feelings from permanent consequences. She is forever at war with herself, wondering why happiness escapes her, why success evades her, why peace is always just beyond her reach. The strongest woman is not the loudest, not the most reactive, not the one who demands to be heard at every moment. The strongest woman is the one who stands firm in the storm, who does not crumble when emotions rise, who holds her ground when everything within her screams to lash out. She is the woman who pauses before speaking, who thinks before acting, who understands that true power lies not in the chaos of feeling, but in the wisdom of restraint. And yet there are those who seek validation rather than respect. They confuse attention for admiration, approval for worth. They chase likes, compliments, applause, mistaking the fleeting admiration of others for real value. They dress for others, speak for others, live for others, always seeking confirmation that they are enough. But no amount of praise can fill the void of a woman who does not respect herself. A woman who seeks validation will never be satisfied. The approval of the world is fickle, ever-changing, impossible to grasp for long. One day they will love her, the next they will forget her. She will spend her life performing, adjusting, shaping herself into whatever she believes will earn her the most attention. But the more she bends, the more she loses herself. And in the end, she will stand before the mirror, a stranger to her own reflection, wondering why she still feels empty. Respect is not given to those who demand it, nor to those who beg for it. Respect is earned by those who carry themselves with dignity, who set standards and enforce them, who live with integrity even when no one is watching. A woman who respects herself does not need validation because she already knows her worth. She does not need to be told she is beautiful because she sees beauty in her own strength. She does not need to be told she is valuable because she carries herself as though she is. She does not need to be told she is loved because she has learned to love herself first. And yet the foolish will continue to seek outward what can only be found within. They will alter themselves to fit the expectations of others, chase admiration as if it were a source of life, convince themselves that if enough people tell them they are worthy, then perhaps it will become true. But it never will, because true worth does not come from the opinions of others. It comes from the way a woman carries herself, from the standards she sets, from the respect she commands through her actions. The wise woman knows that admiration fades, but respect endures. She knows that those who seek only to be liked will never be truly valued. She knows that a woman who respects herself is a woman who is unshakable, untouchable, a force to be reckoned with. She does not lower herself to be accepted, does not shrink to fit into places too small for her, does not compromise her values for temporary approval. She stands tall, walks with purpose, speaks with confidence, not because she needs the world to validate her, but because she has already validated herself. There are two paths before every woman, one of wisdom, one of foolishness. One leads to power, strength, and peace. The other leads to emptiness, disappointment, and regret. And the difference between the two is simple. One seeks mastery over self, the other seeks approval from others. One chooses restraint, the other chooses chaos. One builds a foundation of respect, the other chases an illusion of admiration. The question is not whether a woman is strong, beautiful, valuable. The question is whether she knows it, whether she believes it, whether she carries herself in a way that leaves no doubt. Because a woman who respects herself does not need to seek validation. She becomes the kind of woman who is respected without ever having to ask. Change is the law of life. Everything that breathes grows. Everything that stands still decays. There is no escaping it. The seasons turn whether we are ready or not. The tide shifts whether we fight against it or flow with it. A woman who fears change is a woman who clings to the past, a woman who traps herself in places she has long outgrown, a woman who mistakes comfort for safety. But comfort is a lie. Nothing great was ever built in the arms of complacency. Nothing strong was ever forged without the fire of transformation. A woman who resists change will fight to hold on to what is already gone. She will stay in friendships that no longer serve her, in relationships that drain her, in habits that keep her small. She will convince herself that the past was better, that things were easier before, that if she just holds on tightly enough, she can keep everything exactly as it is. But life does not wait for those who fear it. It moves forward, drags them along, forces them to grow whether they like it or not, and those who resist suffer the most. Growth is painful. It demands sacrifice. It asks a woman to let go of who she was so she can become who she is meant to be. It strips away illusions, breaks patterns, destroys the familiar, and yet those who embrace it always rise. A woman who understands the power of change does not fear the unknown. She welcomes it. She knows that every ending is a beginning, that every fall is a lesson, that every loss is making space for something greater. She does not waste time mourning the past, wishing for what once was. She looks ahead, asks herself, what am I becoming? The woman who fears change will watch as others move forward while she remains in the same place. She will wonder why she feels stuck, why life seems to be passing her by, why she feels restless and empty even when nothing is wrong. She will tell herself she is being loyal, that she is simply holding on to what matters. But loyalty to the past is not wisdom. Wisdom is knowing when to let go, when to walk away. There is no power in staying the same. There is no growth in repeating yesterday. A woman who is willing to change, to adapt, to evolve, is a woman who cannot be broken. She understands that every challenge is shaping her, every hardship is teaching her, every new chapter is building her into something greater. She does not fear losing people because she knows that those meant for her will walk alongside her. She does not fear failure because she understands that failure is the price of success. She does not fear the unknown because she trusts herself enough to navigate it. And yet, there are those who will trade their growth for vanity, for appearances, for the illusion of success without the substance to sustain it. They will pour their energy into how they are seen rather than who they are becoming. They will chase beauty over wisdom, status over integrity, indulgence over discipline. But vanity is a fragile thing. It is fleeting, it is empty, and it never satisfies. A woman who builds her life on vanity is a woman standing on shifting sand. She will measure her worth by the admiration of others, by the attention she receives, by the things she can display. She will spend her days crafting an image, but images do not last. Looks fade, trends change, applause dies down, and when the noise fades, when the lights go out, she will find herself alone with nothing but the hollow shell of what she pretended to be. True worth is not found in the mirror, nor in the opinions of others. It is found in character, in discipline, in the choices made when no one is watching. A woman who chooses virtue over vanity does not concern herself with being the most admired. She concerns herself with being the most prepared, the most capable, the most unshakable. She does not waste time seeking validation because she has already validated herself through her actions, through the way she moves, through the life she has built on a foundation of strength rather than illusion. Those who chase vanity will always be running. They will never have enough, never be satisfied, never feel truly at peace. They will look to the world to tell them they are enough, and the world will always demand more. But a woman who builds herself on substance, on discipline, on integrity, she does not chase, she attracts. She does not seek approval, she commands respect. Strength is not found in appearance, it is found in the ability to endure, to persist, to rise again and again, no matter how many times the world tries to knock her down. It is found in knowing when to be silent and when to speak, when to fight and when to walk away, when to stand firm and when to surrender to the flow of change. Every woman must decide what kind of life she will build. A life that looks good on the outside but crumbles under pressure? Or a life built on a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it? One path is easy, effortless, full of temporary pleasures and fleeting admiration. The other is demanding, relentless, requiring discipline and sacrifice. But only one leads to true power. Only one leads to a life of peace, fulfillment, and unshakable strength. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have a choice. Wisdom or foolishness, growth or stagnation, strength or weakness. The path of the wise woman is hard. It demands humility, discipline, and self-awareness. But the reward, oh, the reward, is power. Power over her mind, power over her choices, power over her life. So, I ask you again, are you wise or are you foolish? The choice is yours.